Learn to draw. Animals. Today we are going to be learning how to draw the elephant. Let's get started. First, you're going to get a piece of white paper and a pencil, and we need to fold it into 4 sections. So first, match your corners up and give a nice clean crease. Now you're just going to fold that into itself, meeting up the corners as best you can and making a nice crease on that edge as well. Now you're going to open up the piece of paper and you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections with the center in the middle. Taking your pencil, you're going to do section 1 and 3, and you're going to draw about 1 inch down a C that's kind of long and wraps around the first and third, and that will be the head and the trunk. Then go back up to the top and you're going to draw a straight line, which is the back of your elephant. You can give it a slight little curve. Now you're going to go back down to where the trunk is in the third rectangle, and you're going to draw a parallel line, meaning right along the line that you drew, going up to the first section and then going up to making sort of like a curved line, which is the face of your elephant. So now you're going to bring that line down, and that is going to be the leg of your elephant, and it's basically a rectangle going up about 3/4 of the way. Then you're going to make another curved line going off the page, which is the body of your elephant. All right, so now we are going to work on the ear, which is in the first and second, and it's kind of like I would say kind of like another shape that looks kind of like a V kind of going down. And if you're overlapping any lines, you always can erase some, which I erased where I drew the face, and I'm bringing the ear up. And then I'm going to draw the tusk, which I'm going to go on the third rectangle and kind of make a triangle shape that goes out and back up. And then I'm going to erase that line that I overlapped on top of my trunk. So the tusk is in front of the trunk, so you get rid of that line. So now you can add your details. You can put all different things on your elephant. Elephants have interesting feet, and I'm going to put a little eye, and the eye is kind of in that first section, right above kind of the cheek area, and I make a circle and then kind of put a leaf shape. That's kind of how I describe my eye. And then I'm making circles around it because they have a lot of wrinkles around them. Plus it gives detail, and you can choose to do whatever you want. And I'm going to put some wrinkles on its nose by making some curved lines go down the trunk area, maybe down where it's curving around, and go on either side of the trunk. And I think I'm going to give some details, just decorative details. In India, they dress up their elephants really beautifully. You can look online at that. And so I'm kind of giving my elephant some nice areas where I can paint later or color beautiful colors. And I'm giving sort of like a nice blanket effect. And then I'm going to put another parallel line going for the ear. And then I'm going to give the knee some wrinkles. And after I do this, I'm going to use a black pen and outline all of my pencil lines so that I have bold lines. I recommend using a permanent pen like a Sharpie if you're going to watercolor or paint, because that won't run and it won't bleed into your paint. If you're just going to color it, you can use a regular Crayola crayon. But if you are going to paint, I would use a permanent marker. Otherwise, when you get water on a regular pen, it will not work. So I'm doing another elephant really quick just to show you. Coloring, I'm using gray crayon, and I'm using some beautiful colors and a green background on this. And this I am simply doing in color crayon, which turned out, I think, really nice. So the next version I'm going to do in watercolors, and if you have Crayola, that works too. I've taught you about using the tray as a way to mix your colors, and my paints do not have gray, so I'm adding water to my paper, which is the wet on wet technique, where you put water all over the paper where you want the color that you're going to paint, and then that way when you put the paint on it, it blends really nicely. If I did it on dry paper, it would be a little bit more blotchy. So I'm mixing a blue gray up because I like the blue, and I don't have white in this color set. So I'm making a blue gray, and I did that with black and a blue, and I'm trying to make a lot of paint in that little tray so that I have enough to cover the whole elephant, because if you have to remix, sometimes you can't get the same color. So I like it a little blotchy when I'm watercoloring because I like that technique. And I'm going over where I had already put the water, and I'm filling in the whole eye area. And I'm going to just do the elephant's trunk, and then I'm going to let that dry. And then I always like to let my paper dry before I do another color so the colors don't bleed into each other. All right, so the blue gray has dried on the elephant. Now I'm going to do the background, and I wanted to do that sort of in a mauve color, which is sort of like a pinkish purple, a little bit more pink than purple. And I am using that right out of the paint pot, which is basically right out of there. So I'm just adding water to it to activate it. And I'm taking my time to follow around the lines so that I do not get any of the pink onto the elephant, and taking my time. And I will let this dry before I do the details on the blanket, on the body, and then on the head. And so I'm just filling that in. Bit of pink onto the mauve color onto the elephant, so I blotted that off, but it looks great. I think I added a little black, dark gray to the eye and the knee, and now I'm just coloring in all the details with my other colors. Remember, when you're outlining your elephant, and if you plan on watercoloring, you do need to use a permanent marker. Otherwise, when you put water on any type of non-permanent pen, it'll bleed and it'll turn really messy. So I decided to take this project a little bit further and got out my 2 pages of lines and patterns from my other tutorial and gave my elephant some pizzazz. Do you see all the different patterns and lines? It was really fun and relaxing just to do whatever came to my mind and taking my time and just relaxing. I even listened to some music while I was doing it, and I think it turned out pretty good. So there are 3 ways to approach this. You can draw your elephant and then color it with color crayons or oil pastels or ink pens, or you can outline it in a Sharpie permanent pen and go in and watercolor it, and then once that dries, do some line and pattern details. So I did 2 versions here. You can choose one or the other, or do both. I did both, and I really enjoyed doing this project, and I love animals, especially elephants. They are on the endangered list, which means that we need to preserve their habitats, meaning where they live, and protect them and not poach them for their tusks. They're beautiful animals. So thank you very much for coming to my tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed doing the wonderful endangered elephant. Remember, if you can imagine it, you can make it, and you can change your world. Art with Miss A. See you later.